I'm Nisha from Nisha's View. I'm the Nisha and from Nisha's View. And so today I decided we're going to get on and we're going to talk about cameras and what you should be thinking about and the questions that you may have if you're trying to get into this photography game and you're a beginner. But definitely the first question is, what is your budget? What is your budget? Now, cameras can range from the low end, maybe starting off around $200, to the very top of the line, high end, thousands of dollars for camera gear, or even just a camera. Yeah, so what is your budget? You're going to get you a budget for sure. You're going to have a budget and you're going to stick to your budget. That's one of the first tips that I can give you if you're a beginner and you're looking to buy a camera and get into the photography world. Get your budget, stick with the budget, and stay on your budget. You can easily get led astray once you start digging in and looking at all the fancy cameras and the bells and the whistles that it has. But you want to stick to your budget. Now, if the budget is no problem, by all means, go ahead, ball out of control. Do whatever you want to do. But, if you're being a little cautious and you're new to this, you want to have a budget, okay? So stick to the budget. Keep the budget in mind, all right? And save you some coins because you're going to need them, because photography photography is an expensive hobby and a career. All right, so tip number 2. What are you going to use? Tip or a question you can ask yourself. What are you going to use the camera for? Pictures of your kids, of the family? Are you using it for a vacation? Are you using it if you're a landscape or nature photographer and you're getting into that, you're new to that, and you want to get a new camera? Are you a vlogger? Are you a content creator? Do you take pictures of products or anything like that? So definitely the second thing I would say that you need to be mindful of is, what are you going to use the camera for? And that will definitely guide you into which direction of camera that you need pick up. So 1, we talked about budget. You're going to stay on budget. And 2, what are you going to use the camera for? Okay, so next up is the third question or the third tip. All right. The third question you need to ask yourself is, it can be a little hot topic in the photography world, and that is what family you want to join. And when I say family, I mean the brand. What brand of camera do you want to use, to try out? And I say it's a little hot topic with the photographers and photography community because people are very, very strong about the camera that they use, right? Personally, I'm a Canon girl. And I joined the Canon family when I first started doing photography about 8 or 9 years ago it's been now. And so normally what I say is, when you find a family that you want to join, then you stick with that family. Like Canon. This is not paid. They're not sponsoring this or anything. I'm just a Canon girl. I learned on a Canon, and most of the time, when you're beginning, photography, whatever you learned on, you tend to stick with it. You stick and you stay in that family. So yeah, I'm a Canon girl, and I'm gonna stick beside them, no matter what. Okay, unless something like totally just, I don't know, something major has to happen for me to leave Canon and go to somebody else, right? So yeah, I mean, for me, I guess my advice to you would be to try it out if you can try out different brands, then that'll be good for you to kind of get the feel and the look and how the pictures come out for you. Because there's definitely, some differences between the Canons, between Sony, between Nikon. There's differences in Fuji, in how the picture looks. What family do you want to join? And by that, like I said, It just means what brand of camera are you more, leaning toward. All right. So 1, you're going to stay on budget. 2, you're going to figure out, okay, what am I going to use this camera for? And then 3, what family do I want to join? All right. So stay tuned. I'm going to give a little bonus tip in 4 and wrap this up. Slow down and take your time. Take your time before you jump into getting that new camera or just getting a camera. Take your time, do your research. Do as much research as you possibly can, because photography can be so overwhelming sometimes, right? Because it is so technical. It can get technical. It's not just really, clicking the shutter, clicking the picture. There's a little bit of science that goes on behind, the lens. Do you want a mirrorless? Do you want a DSLR? So take your time, do your research, because you want a camera that you can grow with, right? You want a camera where you can take it and push it to its limits, push it to the max, push it to as far as you've learned, because photography is about learning. And the only way you get better at it is if you're doing it, if you are practicing. So you want to use your first camera, that, your initial camera, your baby. You want to use it to its limits. You want to push it so where you just can't push it anymore. So definitely take your time. Don't be in a rush, but definitely take your time, do your research, and learn as much as you can about the different brands too, with whichever brand you want to go with. If you want to go with Canon, do you want to go with Sony? Do you want to go with Nikon? Do you want to go with Olympus? There's just so many camera companies out there that you could try, but definitely take your time. So, okay, sum it up as 1, you're going to stay on budget. Yeah, you are. You are going to stay on budget, girl. Number 2, you're going to figure out, what are you going to use this camera for? What am I going to use it for? Okay, keep that in mind. And number, what family you want to join. In family, I mean, what brand of camera are you leaning toward? Or what brand of camera do you want to purchase? And then my bonus tip for you is, take your time, do your research. Don't make, like quick decisions about it, because it's an investment. It can be an investment, because once you get the camera, then you got to get the lens. And we're going to talk about lens, because I'm going to do this in a little part series type of thing for my beginner people out there. So I'm going to do lens next week. So stay tuned for the lens portion of this, because once you get your camera, normally you'll have just the body, which is just the camera, actually. So this was my very first camera that I ever bought. This is my baby, right? This is a Canon SL1, Rebel SL1. This is what I learned on. And she is a DSLR. And she's tiny, right? She's really tiny. But, as you can see, it needs a lens. So, and it came with a kit lens. The camera came with a kit lens. And kit lenses are good. And we'll go into this more in depth next week. But your camera body, the body. You want to, just take your time and do your research on what would be best for you. Okay? So yeah, that's it. And I really appreciate you guys for sticking in there with me. And as always, like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, we're going to keep this thing going with the photography side. And then we'll do a little fashion. We'll do a little fashion too. Yeah, we're going to get to that. But this is a photography day. So yeah, so I appreciate you guys. And until next time, I'll talk to you then.